Relax. Let's get cozy, man. Let's get cozy. Let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it, man. We're going to be reading Ezekiel chapter 3. And we're going to, really take our time and dig on the question, who bore the iniquity for the house of Israel? You see, we're breaking the spell. We don't want to start sounding like our invaders around here. I want to take you down. I want to take you back to a time pre-hijack. Let's go down, to a spot, before the hijack came and they found you. Before your learning of their doctrine, while you were still 100% autochthonous, indigenous, high-tech, regal, royal. And this is all we're digging on, is getting the fire back and keeping the water flowing at the same time. We're talking about simplicity, man. Make it simple. Make it easy, man. The children have gone through so much, man. We've had to dodge so much hijack. Just make it easy on us. Let's make it easy on ourselves. We connect to our Creator directly. Simple as that. Who bore the iniquity for the house of Israel? Who bore the iniquity for Judah? Who bore the iniquity for Ephraim, Benjamin, Reuben, Simeon, Gad, Naphtali? Who bore the iniquity of Levi, Asher? Who bore the iniquity of Israel? Of the tribes? It's a simple question. Just like, I hope you're digging on the Presta series, man. We're just warming up. It's just heating up around here. Don't mind us. I like to kick back, don't mistake, the design for a lack of pure fire, smokeless Eleazar, You just gotta just store it up sometimes. You just gotta let it just chill, Just fall back in the drop stream. There will be a time when that fire gotta, burn a hijack up. But not on my brother, man. Not on my sister, man. I don't want to breathe no smokeless Eleazar on my brother or on my sister, man. I just want to be hijack free. Don't you? Don't you? We want peace. We want power. We have peace. We have power. So we're just going back in a little bit of memory lane to really give honor, to our ancestors, not to prove or disprove, it's really giving honor, man. Who bore the iniquity of the house of Israel? And if you have to go to a New Testament to figure that out, it's hijack 101. You're already cooked. You're already cooked in the fire. Because there's a clear depiction, and I don't know, maybe it's just, blotted out of our head bones, these type of things. We don't really feel it because we think it happened so long ago. And that's why we dodging the hijack and putting the timeline back together. That's why we've been surfing the wave with the Anatoly Fomenko. New chronology, putting it back together. Finding the duplicates and the reflections and knowing that it's a reflection. A reflection is a reflection, man. It's not the exact thing, man. It's a reflection, man. There's only room for one. There's only room for one truth. You can't have this truth and that truth. You can't have this flow and that flow. You can't have an ancient love song and an excellent new tune, man. Come on, man. Who bore the iniquity of Judah? Who bore the iniquity of Israel? Let's get it. Ezekiel chapter 3. Ahchwa to Lil Moray, keep doing your thing. All right, so let's get down on it. Let's get down on it. Let's get down. Ezekiel chapter 3. The voice said to me, Son of man, eat what I am giving you. Eat this scroll. Then go and give its message to the people of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he fed me the scroll. Fill your stomach with this, he said. And when I ate it, it tasted as sweet as honey in my mouth. Then he said, Son of man, go to the people of Israel, give them my messages. I am not sending you to a foreign people whose language you cannot understand. No, I am not sending you to people with strange and difficult speech. If I did, they would listen. You see, even today our people listen to more of this foreign speech than they do their own frequency, their own brothers, their own sisters. And we're trained this way, the so-called Willie Lynch syndrome. We're trained to listen to them more than us. Pay attention to them more than we pay attention to us. Venerate them more than us. This is a training. And it's a survival tactic. Especially with our mothers, it's a survival tactic. Because they just want us to survive. They just want us to survive. They just want us to, listen to them so that we don't get hurt. Because if we were truly listening to us, now we get back to that 1828 definition of dragon. The fierce and violent person towards the hijack is a dragon. So they say, just listen to him, just listen to him. Listen to what they say. Listen to what the man says. This is a scientific, systematic process. And now we're waking up out of it. Let's get it. Oh, man, I've been dropping a lot of drop, man, so excuse my voice. We just surfing away. Shabbat Shalom to the home team. No, I'm not sending you to people with strange and difficult speech. If I did, they would listen. But the people of Israel won't listen to you any more than they listen to me. For the whole lot of them are hard-hearted and stubborn. But look, I have made you as obstinate and hard-hearted as they are. Man, so, Ezekiel was made to be obstinate and hard-hearted. He was a real one. I've made your forehead as hard as the hardest rock. Man, Ezekiel was a real one. You know, I'm just giving honors to our ancestors. Because all this, you know, has been used. And go back and get the last drop. Press it, John 40. Well, actually, 2 drops ago, 43. Dealing with the black of Christ. You know what I'm saying? All this has been put into this black Christ. All this has been put into this black Christ. And it's like some vibration block, you know what I mean, that cuts us from our ancestors to say, oh no, that's a reflection of what we already are. And we got it in that press of John 43, that black Christ is just a symbol of your struggle in an image form. It's just an image that symbolizes the black or the copper color Ame'rican struggle right here in America. It symbolizes your fate, your crucifixion. Which means that it didn't exist before your fate, your crucifixion, because it symbolizes you. What came first? The symbol or that of what it symbolizes? Now you can put the timeline back together with the Titus and Vespasian in 70 AD, you know what I'm saying? Capturing of the temple of Jerusalem, 70 AD, Titus, Vespasian. You got Columbus doing the same thing with his mercenaries. Is 70 AD really, you know, a reflection of your reality? But you see how it's flip-flop because you have to go back to see the reflection. You got to go back to 70 AD to see the reflection of something that just happened in the 1400s. I mean, how will the children ever figure it out? How will you ever figure this out? The book of Daniel chapter 12 says, knowledge will be, you know, running to and fro. Knowledge will be abounding. The books will be unsealed. Now we on the World Wide Web, right? Surfing away. Let's go. Books are being unsealed left and right. I mean, we're seeing it. We're witnessing this. I've made your forehead as hard as rock. So don't be afraid of them or fear their angry looks. All right, man. Even though they are rebels. Then he added, son of man, let all my words sink deep into your own heart first. Listen to them carefully for yourself. Then go to your people in exile and say to them, this is what the sovereign Ahchwa says. Do this, whether they listen to you or not. This is what Ahchwa says. Then the Ruach, the spirit, lifted me up, and I heard a loud rumbling sound behind me. May the glory of Ahchwa be praised in this place. Remember, every time you see Lord, it goes back to Strong's Concordance 1961, which they say, hey, yeah. Then you find out that Ahchwa is the original root form of Heya. So we go back to get to the root, knowing that Ahchwa, the 5th and the 6th letter in Hebrew, Ahchwa, the breath of security, is what they're calling Heya. But before it was Heya, it was Ahchwa. The 5th and the 6th letter. Before you get to your Zion, your rest, your weapon, you get your framer and your shaper, your Ahchwa, before you get to your rest, your weapon. And that's just Paleo Hebrew. For the glory of Ahchwa be praised in this place. It was the sounds of the wings of the living beings. Come on, man. Is this dragon drop? As they brushed against each other and the rumbling of their wheels beneath them. Man. What does it mean? The Spirit lifted me up and took me away. I went in bitterness and turmoil, but Ahchwa's hold on me was strong. Then I came to the colony of Judean exiles in Tel Aviv beside the Kebar River. I was overwhelmed and sat among them for 7 days. A watchman for Israel. Let's go. After 7 days, Ahchwa gave me a message. He said, "Son of man, I have appointed you as a watchman for Israel." So after 7 days, Ahchwa gave Ezekiel a message, right? He said, "Hey, son of man, I've appointed you as a watchman." Now, Ezekiel at this time doesn't know what that's going to really entail, He doesn't understand the suffering that's about to take place. The suffering for the bitterness that Ahchwa has been tasting this whole time. Let's go. Son of man, I have appointed you as a watchman for Israel. Whenever you receive a message from me, warn people immediately. If I warn the wicked, saying you are under the penalty of death, but you fail to deliver the warning, they will die in their sins, and I will hold you responsible for their deaths. Bang. Ezekiel's like, whoa, you've appointed me a watchman. That sounds good until you know, oh boy, if you fail to deliver the message, the warning, you're talking Mashiach, right? Ain't that the messenger? Is not Ezekiel a Mashiach? Come on. I think this is the behind the scenes version of a Mashiach. Normally you don't get all this coloration, the back and forth going on and all that stuff, you know what I mean? This is like specific. Son of man, I have appointed you. He's appointed. And when you receive a message from me, warn the people immediately, or else what? I will hold you responsible for their deaths, man. Verse 19. If you warn them and they refuse to repent and keep on sinning, they will die in their sin. But you will have saved yourself because you obeyed me. If righteous people run or turn away from their righteous behavior and ignore the obstacles I put in their way, they will die. Again, if righteous people turn away from their righteous behavior and ignore the obstacles I put in their way, they will die. Let that sink in, let it flow, man. So when you know what righteousness is, when you know what I'm saying, when we talk commandments and not putting a power before your power, not fusing, not being syncretic about your flow. That's rule number one. Don't put no power before your power, man. Imagine if, you heard someone say, oh man, you know what I'm saying, the creator, is great. I love the creator and everything is great. And I'm just so happy everything's going the right way. And I want to pray all this. I want to put all this in the name of Darnell. The end. Who gets the glory? I want to put all this in the name of Sergio. No matter what you praise, no matter what you said to the Creator, no matter what kind of thing you said, and all the big ups you did, when you end it in the name of Sergio, all power goes to Sergio. Hook, line. So don't put no power before your power. All power to Ahchwa. Only. And through Ahchwa, we can search for David. We can search for our priesthood through Ahchwa. Only. Our only Savior. The energy that flows through you is Ahchwa. So what must you do? You got to walk through the door. Just like I was just talking about the paleo. Right? You start with the Aleph, the L, the Aleph, strong power. That's the first letter of the Hebrew, right? The Aleph. Then you got the Ba'at, which is a tent or a floor plan, right? So you got the strong power going into a floor plan, into a tent. The third letter is the Da, the Gam. The Gam is like a foot or symbolizes walking or movement. So now that the strong power has gone into the door, the floor plan, now there's movement. That's the Gam. And then the fourth letter is the Da, which is the doorway. So the strong power goes into the Ba'at, the Aleph goes into the Ba'at, the Aleph goes into the Ba'at, the power goes into the floor plan, then you got the Gam, now you got movement, you're walking, then you go through a doorway, the Da, that's the fourth letter, and the first person to greet you when you go through that doorway, the fifth letter of Hebrew, paleo, is Ha, or Ha. It's not even hey, like hey, it's a breath. It's you breathe in. It's feminine. That's your mother. They say a man with arms raised. It's not a man with arms raised. It's your mama. It's wisdom. It's Shekinah with her arms raised, greeting you for walking through the door. Then your father. Then your shaper. First you got your framer, your mother, your breathe it in, and then the exhale would be the wah. They say when a dragon breathes fire, it sounds like wah. So you got your frame and your shaper when you walk through the door, when the strong power goes to the floor plan. Then you got the movement, the gam, the aleph, bat, gam, aleph, bat, gam, aleph, bat, gam. Strong power goes to the floor plan. Then you got movement, the gam. Then you got the doorway, the dal. Now you have walked through an entrance, a portal. Then you got your mama, your framer. Your ha, your hey, your it means revelation, your breath, something's revealed. You got a breath, you got the ether, man. You got the ethernet, man. Then you got the wah, the 6 letters of wah. They say way or wah, W-A, wah. Which means what? A tent peg, an anchor, a foundation, security. So after you go through the door, the strong power goes to the floor plan. You got the floor plan, then you got the gam, you got the movement, the foot. Then you got the doorway. You go through the dal. And the 5th letter of Hebrew is the hey or the ha or the which is a breath of revelation. Now you got the revelation from walking through the door. And then you got your security. So the 5th and the 6th letter in Hebrew is the revelation or the breath of security. The 6th letter is security, foundation, tent peg, foundation. You got your breath of foundation with which is your Ahchwa, or they say hey Yah in the Strong's Concordance H1961. Every time you see the word Lord, they say hey Yah. Well, we know that's the primitive. We know the primitive is the Ahchwa, like Hawaii. Many lands have the Ahchwa in it, or the H-U-A, Ahchwa, or the H-A-W-A, Ahchwa. It's all Ahchwa, the fifth and the sixth letter. The breath of security before you get to the seventh letter, which is the Zion or Zon. Your rest, your weapon, you get weaponized on your Shabbat. Seventh letter, seventh day. Shabbat Shalom. Wow. If righteous people turn away from their righteous behavior and ignore the obstacles I put in their way, they will die. And if you do not warn them, they will die in their sins. None of the righteous acts will be remembered, and I will hold you responsible for their deaths. Who bore the iniquity for the house of Israel? Let's go. But if you warn righteous people not to sin, and they listen to you and do not sin, they will live, and you will have saved yourself too. Ahchwa took hold of me and said, get up and go out into the valley, and I will speak to you there. So I got up and I went, and there I saw the glory of Ahchwa, just as I had seen in my first vision by the Kabar River, and I fell face down on the ground. Then the Spirit came into me and set me on my feet. He spoke to me and said, go to your house and shut yourself in. There, son of man, you will be tied with ropes. Uh-oh. So here's innocent Ezekiel. Now gets appointed watchman. Now he's being bound in ropes in his house. This is house arrest. This is when your house turns into a jail, a torture chamber. Now listen to what's about to happen to Ezekiel for the iniquity, the sins of Israel. Who suffered the iniquity for the sins of Israel? When was Ezekiel written? When was Ezekiel really written? And does that jam up the timeline of the JC Black Priestess, Zeus? They're all black, right? They're all black. The whole Zeus crew. What do you think they did to you? What do you think they did in the Matrix? Why do you think we've been eating it up? Why do you think everything tastes like chicken? Phantoms and duplicates. Wow. There, son of man. All right, go to your house. Shut yourself in. There you will be tied with ropes so you cannot go out among the people. Sounds like a crucifixion. And I will make your tongue stick to your roof of your mouth so you will be speechless and unable to rebuke them. Rebuke who? The people that are crucifying you. This is the crucifixion of Ezekiel. Do you think it's play? So we have 4 sinless men. All right, we went through the 4 sinless men. Jesse. You got Daniel's son, David's son with Abigail, called Daniel, or Kiliab. You got Amram, Moses' dad, and you got Benjamin, all right? 4 sinless men without transgression. Well, that takes some steam away from that sinless man that they're bringing you a black Christ, right? Now we have a crucifixion popping off for the iniquity of the house of Israel. Now you can go back and read, the New Test, that crucifixion, and see how long that lasts, and go to Acts and dig on it further. We're going to further dig on it in Press of John 45. We'll continue to flow, and this is all Ahchwa because unity over everything, man. How long did that crucifixion last in the New Testament? And then we'll see how long this crucifixion lasts right here in Torah with Ezekiel being bound in his home. Let's go. I'll make your tongue stick to your roof of your mouth so that you'll be speechless. So his tongue he can't even talk, right? So in that crucifixion in the New Testament, he says, Father, why have you forsaken me? It doesn't seem like he was at peace with what was going on if he felt he was forsaken by the Creator. But let's, see what happens with Ezekiel. He's bound in his home with rope. You'll be tied with ropes so you cannot go out among the people. I'll make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth so that you'll be speechless and unable to rebuke them, for they are rebels. But when I give you a message, I will loosen your tongue and let you speak. Then you will say to them, this is what Ahchwa says. Those who choose to listen will listen, but those who refuse will refuse, for they are rebels. Chapter 4. And now, son of man, take a large clay brick and set it down in front of you. Then draw a map of the city of Jerusalem on it. Show the city under siege. Build a wall around it so no one can escape. Set up the enemy camp and surround the city with siege ramps and battery rams. Then take an iron griddle and place it between you and the city. Turn toward the city and demonstrate how harsh the siege will be against Jerusalem. This will be a warning to the people of Israel. Who else gave warnings about a siege? I don't know. Wasn't Jesus warning about Rome and saying go flee over there? You know what I mean? Let's go. We're just talking Ezekiel. We're talking phantasm duplicates. Turn toward the city and demonstrate how harsh the siege will be against Jerusalem. This will be a warning to the people of Israel. Now listen up. Listen up. Now lie on your left side and place the sins of Israel on yourself. You are to bear their sins. I just want you to meditate on this just for a nice breath, man. Just meditate on it. Fall back, man. Ain't no rush. We just surfing the wave. Fall back. I mean, where did this whole idea of bearing sins on yourself come from? Where did this whole idea of bearing sins on yourself of one man, where did the idea of one man placing the sins of Israel on yourself come from? Where did this idea come from? What came first, the chicken or the egg? What was written first, the Gospels or Ezekiel? What was written first? So where did the idea come from in the writers of the New Testament for one man to place the sins of Israel on himself, to bear the sins of Israel? One man. Do you have any other examples of one man bearing the sins of the entire house of Israel, being tortured and tormented for the iniquity and the transgression of the law of the entire house of Israel and Judah? Is there any other example of one man placing the sins of Israel on himself? Not his sins. Like we read about David, he had his transgression. He had to bear his sin, right? And go through, his particular, turmoil and, what I mean? But do you have any example of a blameless man, a blameless man being chosen to be the watchman, which means he must have been blameless to be chosen to be the watchman of Israel. And then now he's getting bound and rope, tongue stuck to the roof of his mouth. That sounds like torment to me. I want you to try it and tell me if it's torment to you. Crucifixion, the idea of one man placing the sins of Israel on himself, bearing the sins, the iniquity of the entire house of Israel. Right here in Ezekiel, right here with our ancestor. You are to bear their sins. For the number of days you lie on your side. Not only is he bound in rope, he has to lie on one side. Is that torment? Is that crucifixion? Yeah, there we go. So how do you spell crucifixion? I'm not a brainiac. You know what I mean? Let's go. The nailing or fastening of a person to a cross for the purpose of putting him to death, the act or punishment of putting a criminal to death by nailing him on a cross. A cross on which the body of Christ is fastened in effigy. So the entire idea of being crucified is now being related to one super nigga. I gotta say it again, one super nigga. And we will get, back into that medieval history of the Israelites, and there's a whole chapter on this, digging on. It doesn't even say he was nailed to a cross, in the book of Acts. It says he was hung from a tree. In other, versions and areas, they put that in, you know what I mean? So it's a situation of what is a crucifixion? If he wasn't nailed to a cross and if he was hung from a tree, was he still crucified? Let's go to the Oxford Dictionary. Oh, I mean, off top, they throw the Christ right in your face, but then you just get to the bottom of things. Then you get to the root of it all, man. Love to the bro. Extreme and painful punishment, affliction, or suffering, man. Come on, man. So both of these, are talking about 1828, but so you're going to see how they're trying to put in this pierced situation. We're going to go into Isaiah 53 as well. We're just having a good Shabbat, enjoying the flow. We got a full plate of electricity to dig on. So the crucifixion really doesn't have everything to do with a cross. Unless we're talking about the crossroads of punishment, affliction, or suffering. Extreme and painful punishment. Excuse me. Well, let's go. So Ezekiel has to bear their sins. And in order to bear the sins for the entire house of Nagas, of Israelites, of the Hebrew Empire, in order to bear their sins, he has to go through a crucifixion. Yeah, Ezekiel has to go through extreme and painful punishment, affliction, and suffering. Now let's get into detail. You are to bear their sins for the number of days you lie on your side. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins for 390 days. Stop. How long did that crucifixion last? That extreme suffering and affliction last? In the New Testament with JC. JC, the reflection of Joshua, the reflection of David, the reflection of Jesse, the reflection of Ezekiel. I just call him the reflection now. He shortened his name to Reflection. All that JC Hamashiach business is out the window. It's been cooked. We'll just call them the reflection. The Supernaga reflection. The S in R. The S in R. Supernaga reflection. Because we got sinless men. We got miracles. We got one shepherd anointed forever. You got the Rex Regnum King of Kings. Has the power under heaven. He has all the keys to all the secrets, all the places right here on earth that you're living on. He's the Black King. Then they came with the Black Christ. He's the Prester John. Then they came with the Black Pope, right? Oh man. And then they just rolled up on you with you know, Black Christ. Black Christ. Black Christ. I call him Supernaga the reflection. I present Supernaga the reflection. He's being hung from a tree. Sinless man. He bore the iniquity of Israel. Oh no, in Christianity, he bore the iniquity of the whole world. Even though in their writings, they're even saying that he's saying, I come only for the house of Israel. Matthew 15, right? So, like many people, man, we come up really bathed and baptized in Christianity. You know what I mean? Shit. I didn't start going to I went as a kid a little bit. And then around the age of 15, my brother took me to this church out here in LA. And I became a Christian superstar at 15 years old, man. I was teaching Bible studies and going on, little youth trips to Kingston, Jamaica and Mexico and, being teen leaders. And, so I studied very well with this New Testament stuff. If I'm not digging it, it's not because I didn't learn it and dig on it and study it thoroughly. But around my college days, that spell wore off, and, then I was just, growing and going on my journey, man. Seeing what the path is, And everything else, man, is stuff you know. You know my struggles, you know my pain, you know my turmoil. You know my redemption. And here I am and here we are. And now I'm able to look, with a 360-degree perspective and know, Matthew 15, I just came for the house of Israel. But the Christians take it a step further and they go, but we're spiritual Israel. Galatians. Ephesians. Paul. I mean, I get it. They always put some drop in there. I get it. When I was digging on the New Testament, one of my favorite books was the Book of Romans, But that was actually the part that kind of started waking me up, when I started listening to all those camp YouTube videos and sound-netted TVs and seeing all these debates like everybody around that time. And You know, I mean, the Romans, it was like Romans with Romans 10 and 11. I mean, he's talking about I'm the son of Benjamin. You hijacks are trying to get grafted into this tree, and we are the root of the tree, so you can't, the branches can't exalt themselves over the root. In reality, Paul, the entire tree is Israel. No one can graft themselves into Israel's tree. But they can still be on the land, though. They can still be on the land. I mean, I'm digging, Isaiah chapter 11. Becoming captives of those, whose captives you were. I'm digging these Isaiah 11, Isaiah 14. So what I'm saying is, I've been on a specific journey for a specific reason with you, you know what I mean? And the Most High's never led us, to no points of no return, you know what I mean? So it's all about rebuke, redemption, realization, reality, you know what I mean? And you're staring right now at a symbol of the black man and the persecution right here in America, the persecution of the Indian, the persecution of the indigenous, the persecution of the Naga. And they gave you a symbol that looked like you, that wears your skin, you know what I mean? But that also is rocking, on a certain, symbolic term that they can now, do an inverted inception to get you worshiping something that is already just symbolizing you, but you don't know it because you're the Indian, and now they're teaching this shit to you as if it has some history. Then you put the timeline together and they got no history. So their story is just, bullocks, man. Their story is nullified because they got no history, because there is no space for the history in the true timeline. And this is a symbol of your suffering. And it didn't exist. This Naga on the cross thing didn't exist before your suffering. Of course, we got the indigenous cross, but the Naga on the cross, nailed to the cross, did not exist before the indigenous invasion. And now it symbolizes the indigenous invasion. But we're just talking the crucifixion. Oxford Dictionary, 1828. Extreme and painful punishment, affliction, and suffering. Ezekiel chapter 4. Now lie on your left side and place the sins of Israel. Okay. On yourself. You are to bear their sins for the number of days you lie there on your side. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins for 390 days, 1 day for each year, 390 days. Over a year and 30 days, lying on your side, bound in ropes, can't leave your house, tongue stuck to the top of your mouth, unless Allah wants you to speak, of course. Can it get any worse? Well, let's go. You are to bear their sins for the number of days you lie there on your side. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins. Any other man you know required to bear the sins of Israel, man? I'm requiring you to bear Israel's sins for 390 days. One day for each year of their sin. That means means that we were in sin for 390 years. And after you do that, Ezekiel, watchman, blameless man, bearing the sins of the entire house of Israel, lying on your left side for 390 days, being crucified. I mean, I would imagine it is extremely painful punishment to lie on your left side for 390 days bound with your tongue stuck to the top of your mouth. 390 days crucified. But after you do that, after that, verse 6, after that, turn over and lie on your right side for 40 more days. More days, man. Oh, you thought it was over? Oh, you thought it was over? 40 more days. So now we're at 430 days of lying down bound with rope. 1 day for each year of Judah's sin. So you got Israel's sins, 390 days. Judah's sin, 40 days. Who bore the iniquity of the house of Israel? Who bore Judah's sin? Who bore the sins of Israel? Was it Black Christ? Did Black Christ bear the sins of Judah and Israel? Because, I mean, why would it take 430 days to bear Israel's sins then, but then just in a matter of, a tormented, night or two, or whatever that is over there, he bears the sins of the whole world because of his extreme suffering, his crucifixion, right? Why would it just take, a day or so over there, right? And 430 days over here, like, that's not a lot of sin you're bearing if it's just a day or so, I mean, am I missing something? Was he hanging on the cross for 400 days? No, but he was pierced, brother. The book of Acts says he was hung from a tree, not pierced. We're going to get to this pierced business. We're talking translations, transliterations, and a language barrier, as well as certified hijack and confusion to create a supernaga reflection. Who bore the iniquities of the house of Israel? Are you saying that it was done again? That after Ezekiel bore the sins of Israel, someone else had to come and bear the sins of Israel? But this time it was just a day or so? Lie on your left side and place the sins of Israel on yourself. You are to bear their sins. For the number of days you lie on your side, I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins. 390 days. One day for each year of their sin. We see how Ahchwa rocks. He said he don't change. So if you're going to bear Israel's sins, It's going to be one day for each year of their sin. How long did that crucifixion take in the New Testament? I mean, tell me. Maybe, just let me know. After that, turn over and lie on your right side. So get some more, You're going to get this work. Let's go. 40 more days. One day for each year of Judas sins. That's 430 years or days. Meanwhile, keep staring at the siege of Jerusalem. Lie there with your arm bared and prophesy her destruction. I will tie you up with ropes so you won't be able to turn from side to side until the days of your siege have been completed. And even with this, you can, find the symbolism, man, and just, we've been tied down with ropes. It seems like we're lying on one side, like we can't move, as a people, like we're the laughing stock of the whole world. The last tribe to wake up, got no movement, got no leadership, got no priesthood, got no things, no stuff, got no things, no land. Where's your staff? Where's your garments? You got nothing. No order, no unity. Don't it feel like you're just lying on one side? Like you're being tied with ropes so you won't be able to turn from side to side until the days of your siege have been completed? The days of Ahchwa's wrath, bitterness, till the bitter taste runs out of his mouth. Ahchwa, our frame, our shape, our mother and our father have suffered because of the bitterness. Now go and get some wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and emmer wheat and mix them together in a storage jar. Use them to make bread for yourself during the 390 days you will be lying on your side. Ration this out to yourself, 8 ounces of food for each day, and eat it at set times. Then measure out a jar of water for each day and drink it at set times. Prepare and eat this food as you would barley cakes. While all the people are watching, bake it over a fire using dried human dung. That's feces. Human crap, right? So bake it over a fire using human crap as fuel and then eat the bread. Well, I would assume that the human dung would be his human dung since he's bound and can't move. So in other words, the Most High is saying use your own crap as fuel and then eat the bread. And we get this in different versions and all that. And, it's like, oh, the Most High will make you eat human shit, He didn't say that. I mean, not in this version, what I'm saying? I'm reading out the, I like to dig on different translations. This is the New Living Translation. So, hold on, let me compare this with the KJV. We're just doing some Torah study or Tanakh study. Let's see what they say in the KJV. Because I've always heard, mix this human dung into your food. Oh, man, you got to eat human crap. I mean, dang, I get the crucifixion, but that's just, oh, man, why would you do that to Ezekiel? Eat, and thou shalt eat it as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that come out of a man. Okay. This is why there's the perception that the Most High is telling Ezekiel to eat shit. You know what I mean? I mean, we just talking. So this is why he's saying, eat human, feces. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what translations, man, I'm trying to tell you, man, but you awakening out the spells, so we putting it together. It's all good. We surfing the wave in Ezekiel. Again, left a little more ready for the inspiration. So it's the first time I really started kind of seeing more clearly on this, with this particular part, because it crosses everybody over, you know what I mean? Once you make somebody eat human shit, you know what I mean? You're like, come on, bro. And that's when Ezekiel even says, and thou shalt bake it with dung that come out of a man in their sight. And Ahchwa said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, whether I will drive them. So again, even Ahchwa is making it clear that he is being, that Ezekiel is a symbol, just like they made the Black Christ a symbol in Esquipulas over in Guatemala, right? So you can dig on the Black Christ in Guatemala, dig on Press of John 43. You see what they did, man? It's like an inception inside of an inception inside of an inception. Ezekiel is literally symbolizing the entire, struggle and the sin of Israel by bearing their iniquity. He's symbolizing all the iniquity of Israel. This 430-day torment crucifixion. 430-day crucifixion. I'll say it again. Ezekiel's 430-day crucifixion symbolizes the 430 years of iniquity. And this Black Christ symbolizes the result. Symbolizes the result of the iniquity. Could it have ever happened in order? I just don't believe it could ever happen in order. When we're in order, I don't believe we could be, fuck with, you know what I'm saying? I don't believe you can be messed with, you know what I'm saying, when you're in order, you know what I mean? I just don't believe it, man. Being in order and the laws and the flow of Ahchwa is a force field. It's a power, it's a weapon to it. The Shabbats are a weapon. The energy that comes with the order is a weapon. The rest, Shabbat Shalom. Let's get it. So again, here it says, and Ahchwa said, and thou shalt eat as barley cakes, and thou shalt bake it with dung that comes out of a man in their sight. Bake it with dung. It's being translated bake it with dung. Obviously looks like it's saying, put human crap inside of your food and bake it together. Bake it with crap. Make a big crap cake, right? That's what it seems like. But the New Living Translation has a different flow. Bake it. Hold on with my flashlight. Bake it over a fire using dried human dung as fuel. Fuel. This is big, man. This is huge. Because that clarifies that a lot. Not bake it with shit, like put it together and eat shit. He's saying use the shit as fuel. Now, even that's an abomination when it comes to preparing your meal. But that's as far as it went. It wasn't as far as eating it. It was just using it as fuel. Clearly, it burns into your food. And, clearly it's an abomination. I'm just saying he's not literally saying eat human shit. But he says bake it over a fire, using dried human dung as fuel, and then eat the bread. Then Ahchwa said, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands, to which I will banish them. Let's go. Then I said, oh, Ahchwa, must I be defiled by using human dung? To do what? As fuel. Must I be defiled by using this as fuel? All right, so we know he's bound. I guess, he's able to move his arms enough to prepare food. All right. He's able to speak sometimes when he's giving a message to pass on. And when he prepares his food, he doesn't want to use his own human dung, because I don't see him using nobody else's human dung. I'm sure he can take care of that. But then I said, oh, Ahchwa, must I be defiled by using human dung? For I have never been defiled before from the time I was a child. Whoa. He's a blameless man. I don't know if he's one of the sinless men. I don't know, but she sure appears to never have been defiled before. So that's why I said, even with the 4 sinless men, there's more than 4. I mean, we're just reading about 4 according to rabbinic tradition and literature, but we know it has to be more than 4. But even Ezekiel had never been defiled, so he's the lamb, right? He's the undefiled, the unblemished lamb. He's never been defiled before. He's an unblemished lamb, man. Who's the lamb? JC, Black Christ, right? But we have Ezekiel here, who's never been defiled before, who's going through a 430-year crucifixion, who has to literally defile his temple with this human dung fuel situation, all right? He said, I've never eaten any animal that died of sickness or was killed by other animals. I've never eaten any meat forbidden by the law. So he eats meat, but not the meat forbidden by the law, or any animal that died that was sick or killed by other animals. So whatever he was eating was a clean, lawful kill, all right? And it was meat, but it wasn't forbidden, all right? And again, I want to compare that to the KJV, because, you get different perceptions, you know what I mean? It says, oh, Ahchwa, behold, my soul has not been polluted from my youth up and even till now have I not eaten of that which dieth of itself, or is torn to pieces, neither came there abominable flesh in my mouth. So that would be flesh that was not permitted by the law. Okay, got it. Of course, today, on a side note, but on a real note, we don't know what any of this meat is, even if it's permitted. It's hijacked GMO, so we gotta just eat her up. We gotta eat her up. Love to the Battle family, man. They're showing everybody how to eat her all the way up, man. All right, Ahchwa said, you may bake your bread with cow dung instead of human dung. So, all right, that's what it is. You may bake your bread with the cow dung as a fuel, all right, not eating it. Then he told me, Son of man, I will make food very scarce in Jerusalem. It will be weighed out with care and eaten fearfully. The water will be rationed out drop by drop, and the people will drink it with dismay. Lacking food and water, people will look at one another in terror, and they will waste away under their punishment. Is it real or what? Let's get this last part in Ezekiel 5, and we're going to move on to, a bit of Isaiah 53, and get a couple features for the dismount. Let's go. Son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a razor to shave your head and beard. Use a scale to weigh the hair into 3 equal parts. Place a third of it at the center of your map of Jerusalem. What's up with this map, right? After acting out the siege, burn it there. Scatter another third across your map and chop it with a sword. Now, you know what I'm saying? Think about the Salem, witch hunt. Think about all the hunting of the witches. Now, if they come in, if they walk in a room, they see a man bound with the rope, and he has a sharp sword, using it as a razor, and his head and his beard is shaved, and he has separated his hair into 3 equal parts on top of some map thing, right? Scatter another third across your map and chop it with the sword. Like if you walk in and see somebody doing it, you would think they're doing some type of voodoo, witchcraft, crazy stuff. You got hair scattered on a map and you're chopping it with a sword. You would think they're a witch, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So, that's just very kind of eye-opening, man. You know what I'm saying? When you just look at the perspective of the hijacker that doesn't know nothing about this. But this is straight up right here in Ezekiel chapter 6 or chapter 5. Keep a bit of the hair and tie it up in your rope. Then take some of these hairs and throw them into the fire, burning them up. You would think this is witchcraft, man. From a Christian perspective, when we're just talking about a sign of the coming judgment. A fire will then spread from this remnant and destroy all of Israel. This is what the sovereign Ahchwa says. This is an illustration of what will happen to Jerusalem. I will place her at the center of the nations, but she has rebelled. I placed her at the center of the nations. What's that got to do with this map? But she has rebelled against my regulations and decrees and has been even more wicked than the surrounding nations. She has refused to obey the regulations and decrees I gave her to follow. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Ahchwa says. You people have behaved worse than your neighbors and have refused to obey my decrees and regulations. You have not even lived up to the standards of the nations around you. Therefore, I myself, Ahchwa, am now your enemy. I will punish you publicly. Everybody's witnessed your crucifixion. Everyone's witnessed your Black Christ crucifixion. I will punish you publicly while all the nations watch. All the nations are watching. They've all taken their pieces. They've all, thrown in their bids, right? Because of your detestable idols, I will punish you like I've never punished anyone before or ever will again. You think this is over? And if this ain't over, where is this JC figure coming in? Where's this new test coming in? Where's this new figure coming in bearing the iniquity of the whole house of Israel? Who's this guy? Black Christ. Whose sins is he bearing? You see, you got to take it all apart. You got to dismantle. You got to disassemble your memory, because that's where the inception is. It's not about Quetzalcoatl or Joshua in the indigenous form being crucified. That's not what this symbolizes. This symbolizes the whole tribal house of the Ame'ricans that was invaded. And if you want to point to the bearing of the sins of the house of Israel and Judah, you point directly to another Mashiach, another messenger, directly to Ezekiel. Because they're talking about a time that's still going on today. So there's no room and space for the play. Again, I will punish you publicly while all the nations watch. I will punish you like I've never punished anyone before or ever will again. Are you saying that the punishment then was worse than the punishment in these days? And in these days, I mean, I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying, from 1492 on up. Those are these days I'm talking about. Because again, this is symbolic for these days. Don't trip, we'll get it again. Don't trip. Black Christ. This is symbolic for the Inquisition, the invasion of the Negro in America. The Khans, the copper-colored Americans, right? The Khan dynasty. This is symbolic. They saw your suffering and created an image that represented it on the towel, on the cross sticks, on the mark, Makir. I will punish you like I have never punished anyone before or ever will again. Ever will again, then how does this happen? Are we calling the Most High a liar? If Ezekiel bore this iniquity, and if Israel's being punished like they never ever will again, then what does this punishment symbolize? Is there room for two punishments? Symbols? This is already symbolic of the entire nation. Now you got a symbol on top of a symbol. That's a double symbol. That's an inception. That's trickery. That's a reflection. This is the SNR Super Naga reflection. I will punish you like I have never punished anyone before or ever will again. Parents will eat their own children, and children will eat their parents. Man, can you imagine that type of famine? If that happened today, this will happen today. You know, you got your righteous that hold strong, and you got those that are just, you know what I'm saying, in chaos, man. So I will punish you and scatter to the winds the few who survive. As surely as I live, says Ahchwa, I will cut you off completely. I will show you no pity at all because you have defiled my temple with your vile images. Your vile images. Black Christ. Bar Hashem, right? Bar Hashem. Shem is the name, and the name, and the name. Whose name? Yahweh-Shai, Yahweh-Mashiach, Yahweh-Shai, Yahweh-Shai, Joshua, Black Christ. But we know he's Joshua. Are you saying Joshua suffered the iniquity of the whole house of Israel? Point to that in the scripture. Is it a continuation? Then show us how we go from Joshua leading you to your promised land to now going through crucifixion and bearing the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah. Show us the connection. Fill in the gap. Joshua leads you to your promised land, slice and dicing giants, Canaanites, and then now gets crucified? Or is this a syncretic, attempted fusion, symbolic of our ancestors like Ezekiel, like Jesse, all put into one character like David, one shepherd, now he's a shepherd. Prester John, now he got all the power under heaven and earth. In Matthew 28, all power has been given to me. Prester John already got that. Them keys is already being held. There's no room for no hijack reflections. Who bore the sin? Who bore the iniquity of Israel? Who bore it? We're talking about detestable, vile images. A third of your people will die in the city from disease and famine. A third of them will be slaughtered by the enemy outside the city walls, and I will scatter a third to the winds, chasing them with my sword. What do you think that means, my naga? That means you have no safety. Aren't these the times? Then at last my anger will be spent, and I will be satisfied, and then my fury against them has subsided. All Israel, when my fury against them has subsided, all Israel will know that I, Ahchwa, have spoken to them in my jealous anger. So I will turn you into a ruin, a mockery in the eyes of the surrounding nations. And to all who pass by, you will become an object of mockery and taunting and horror. Ain't that the truth, my naga? No justice, no peace. Hands up, don't shoot, marching in the street. An object of mockery, taunting, and horror. Hands up, don't shoot sounds like a horror chant. You will be a warning to all the nations around you. They will see what happens when Ahchwa punishes a nation in anger and rebukes it, says Ahchwa. Ahchwa used you as an example for the world. Ahchwa used us as an example for the world. I will shower you with the deadly arrows of famine to destroy you. The famine will become more and more severe until every crumb of food is gone. And along with the famine, wild animals will attack you and rob you of your children. Disease and war will stalk your head, and I will bring the sword of the enemy against you. I, Ahchwa, have spoken. The sword of the enemy. The sword of the enemy led us to Black Christ. Oh yeah. Okay. Hold up, man. We got this in Prester John 43, Chronicles of the Trail. Chronicas. All right, Chronicas. Del Camino. Journey of El Camino Real. Tierra Adentro. You got it. And we got it right here on the section called the Black Christ. And, Just going to keep it going. Just getting clarity, simplicity, and a dragonfly perspective. Oh yeah, we'll be back on that Kiera. Look out for Pressure John 50, 40, 45. Coming on home to Pressure John 50. And who knows, man? Who knows? We're just talking about black cries. And just quickly right here, for any that weren't able to catch it before, and even if you were, repetition breaks the spell. This is a document, man, digging on this black Christ, what we've been digging on all night, all morning, all afternoon. Whenever you're getting this, you see what time it is, 5:04 a.m. This is Team No Sleep. So this is all in this Esquipulas in Guatemala. So this is a document coinciding with that. This Esquipulas, the Black Christ, from Guatemala to Quimayo, El Camino Real de Tierra Dentro by Jose de la Cruz Pacheco Rojas, Ph.D., with Rebecca Trevino Montemayor, Ph.D., State of Durango, Mexico. This is scholarly, man. This is a scholarly document. Is it play? Let's go. We'll get this piece and then get the last piece. It says this preliminary study of the history of El Cristo Negro, Naga, Black Christ. The Esquipulas emphasizes its importance as a sacred Roman Catholic figure infused by ancient Mesoamerican deities and rituals. The essay proposes that this syncretic attempted fusion, that's what syncretic is, religious infusion, attempted syncretic acculturation, bringing these cultures together of Christianity with pre-Hispanic religion. What's pre-Hispanic religion? What's pre-Spain religion? All right. Pure water. Laid the foundation for a particular kind of cultural and social relationship between conquered peoples and the Spanish in North America. So this Black Christ laid a foundation to create a social relationship between the invaded and the invader. So when you call on him today, when you call on Jesus today, when you call on Christ today, out of your mouth, speaking a frequency that is foreign to us, linked to an image that is only, symbolizing our suffering, our pain in the deepest levels, and just a symbolic hope. All we're left with is a symbolic hope. A symbolic hope. And this is the magic, this is the spell we're under to create a particular kind of cultural and social relationship between conquered peoples and the Spaniards, the invaded and the invaders. And in conclusion, this document says, however diverse the origin stories of the various devotional images, graven images of our Lord of Esquipulas, almost all provide an explanation for the black skin color. And then they gotta now say, well, why is he black? Well, because with most attributing it to miraculous transformation occasioned by divine will. So he divinely willed himself to be black Christ. Or you're just saying that at the root, you're just talking the melanin and the carbon and the spiral. Our research indicates that the majority of the acts of the miraculous revelation attributed to the Black Christ convey a clear sense of indigenous identity. These are two PhDs telling you this, my people, not one. Two PhDs telling you this. Not crazy drop over here, just dropping some drop. These are two PhDs telling you. I mean, that's an amazing step for these PhDs to take, because normally they're too scared to talk like this, but we dug it up. All praise Ahchwa, Drop Nation, what it do. So we know what these images are, these super naga reflections. Our research indicates that the majority of the acts of miraculous revelation attributed to the Black Christ convey a clear sense of indigenous identity. Indigenous identity. Indigenous identity. That's letting you know that the indigenous Americans look like this. So let's give them an image that looks like them, that represents them, so that they will love it. To show their suffering, to keep them in a loop of sufferance, of perpetual bondage. A clear sense of indigenous Negro, Cristo Negro, indigenous Negro, Cristo Negro, that's telling you to your face bone that the indigenous are the Negro people. You did not come from Africa, my people. You're in the old world, and you are the indigenous copper-colored Naga, and this is the image that they used on you. It wasn't white Christ. It became white Christ later when that was just too heavy for them. They didn't want to give you that drop no more. Then it became white Christ. And then you wake up and you say, no, but it was once black Christ. And then you love Christ even more because you think he's black. This is sorcery, necromancy, wakey. This Black Christ conveys a clear sense of indigenous identity. Based on our analysis, the figure symbolizes the condition. Stop. Where's my doggone flashlight? I don't even see it. I don't even see my flashlight. Oh, they're going to give it to me over there. But they're not going to give it to me over here. Maybe I got to come over here. Get some of this flashlight action. Bring that action over here. Oh, they won't even let me bring that. You know what? It's all good. Now I'm just being fancy. Before I didn't need a flashlight. I'm just being fancy now. I'm just feeling good. Indigenous identity. This figure, let's get it from here. The figure symbolizes the condition and fate of the indigenous population. Body bag, Daniel. So what came first? The indigenous population or this figure, this symbol? What came first? Come on. What came first, man? Black Christ or you? Because this symbolizes the fate of the indigenous population. So the indigenous population not only came first, but the fate of the indigenous population, because of their invasion, created a symbol. This wasn't natural. They invaded you. They invaded us. They invaded me. And that fate created a symbol and a figure. And this is what we won't let go of, to be hijacked free. The figure symbolizes the condition. The Black Christ conveys a clear sense of indigenous identity. The figure symbolizes the condition and fate of the indigenous population as a suppressed, exploited, multi-ethnic people who can only find hope in the martyred Black Christ. You only hope in this martyred Christ because, like them, he was persecuted by his enemies who consigned him to the cross, who bound him to the cross. Like who? Like Ezekiel? Like Ezekiel being bound for 430 days. Laying on one side for 390 and 40 days on the other. Like them, like them, like them. I wanna be like them. I wanna be like my kid, the Mark, the son, who can only find hope. We're hoping in this Hamashiach Yeshua, Yahweh Ben in the name of Shem, in the Shem Bahashem. I mean, I'm just saying, man, it's just, come on, man. This is to give you hope in a martyred Christ. You're only referring to martyred Christ, but martyred Christ is you. Because like them, just like this martyred Christ, you were persecuted by your enemies who co-signed you to your crucifixion. Extreme and painful punishment, affliction, or suffering. We're just talking about Ezekiel. We're just talking about Black Christ. The crucifixion, therefore, should be understood. The crucifixion, what's crucifixion? According to the Oxford Dictionary, extreme and painful punishment, affliction, or suffering. Got it. Extreme or painful punishment, affliction, or suffering. Sound familiar? So they give you a story with all these elements. You love it because it's you. Same thing with movies today, right? Write about romance. Write about, jealousy and envy and pain and sex and write all that stuff because that's what they know. And create a symbol, and they're going to love it because they're looking outside of themselves at themselves. The crucifixion should therefore, this suffering, this extreme pain, should be understood as a reflection. Body bag, Daniel. Body bag for the illusion. We're just talking about the super naga reflection. In the New Testament. And Christianized reification of the drama of Spanish conquest. Drama, it's just one big drama, shows one big play. It's one big symbolic play, one big reflection. The Lord's resurrection offers to indigenous peoples, Black Christ image offers to indigenous people a symbolic space of resistance. No more do you have true resistance and rebellion. You have symbolic resistance, a symbolic space. You're lost in space. You're lost in symbolism. You are the indigenous that's now been turned into a symbol. But where's your real resistance? As well as hope for your own liberation. Where's your freedom? Where's your things? Where's your stuff? The original syncretism of the image, the attempted fusion of the image. This is a fused image. And I mean, grandma had the white Christ, right? And then we wake up and now we're on the Black Christ. And then suddenly you have to realize you are the real. You're the real. You are being crucified. You are going through what? Extreme and painful punishment, affliction, or suffering. You are the indigenous. You are the indigenous population. And you're finding hope in this symbol, which is just a reflection of the drama of the Spanish conquest, of the invasion. It's a reflection. It symbolizes the invasion of you, my naga. It's fusion of symbols from pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican as well as Christian imageries. That's what this symbol represents. The Christian imageries fuse with your indigenous culture. Pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican. Eventually linked to commercial agents who broadcast the image that's being broadcasted. Now you get into iconoclasm, right? Loses meaning when confronted with the ethnic blending that resulted from Spanish conquest. First, indigenous peoples and later peoples of mixed race symbolically reappropriated the image, making the Black Christ their own. Now they pray in the name of this Black Christ. Bar Hashem, Yahuwah, Yeshua, Hamashiach, Yeshua, Black Christ. They can't leave it alone. They can't speak. They can't even, start their day without praising the Black Christ as their own. That's only representing a reflection of the drama show. And that's why they go into Isaiah 53 and they say, hey, well, this must represent Black Christ, right? Let's get a piece right here. Then we're going to, fall back and, get our features and just enjoy. Shabbat up, Shabbat up. Hey, hop to the whole family, man. The whole tribe. Still in the New Living Translation, Isaiah 53, who has believed our message, to whom has Ahchwa revealed his powerful arm. My servant grew up in Ahchwa's presence like a tender green shoot. Ezekiel said he was undefiled. My servant grew up in Ahchwa's presence like a tender green shoot, like a root in dry ground. There was nothing beautiful or majestic about his appearance, nothing to attract us to him. He was despised and rejected. A man of sorrows, acquainted with deepest grief, we turned our backs on him and looked the other way. Who was checking for Ezekiel during his 430 years or 30 days? We're not reading about people checking for him, trying to free him of his bondage, right? You don't read a story about them trying to rip the ropes off, but they can't because they're super high-tech ropes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't hear it? Ain't nobody checking for him. We turned our backs on him. He's bearing the iniquities of Israel and Judah. We turned our backs on him and looked the other way. He was despised and we did not care. Yet it was our weakness he carried. Our weaknesses he carried. Who bore the sins for Israel? It was our sorrows that weighed him down. He was bound, right? 430 days. And we thought his troubles were a punishment from Ahchwa, a punishment for his own sins. They thought Ezekiel was suffering for his own sins, not theirs. But he was pierced for our rebellion, crushed for our sins. This is when the Christians say, Black Christ, he was pierced. And what is pierced? What do you mean? What are you saying? Come on, man. Stop the play, man. They on that play. Well, let's read it out of the KJV. Does it say pierced? Isaiah 53 and 5. Wounded, wounded, wounded. He was wounded for his transgression. So over here in the New Living Translation, it says, but he was pierced. And this is where, you got to really, start dodging the hijack and know that they went in and they purposely put certain language in there and made new translations and did all that so that the Christians could link this to this so-called story popping off. That's nothing but a syncretic story of your suffering, but then you see pierced and you don't relate it with you. Now they're just playing with words. It's a forked tongue. But then you have other translations you looked into, just like the simple KJV in this term, and he says, but he was wounded for our transgression. So now you can, not have to, see this image. See, because when they say pierce, you go to this image with this pierce business. When they say wounded, you don't automatically go to this. You don't have to go to Black Christ. What is pierced? In the lexicon, the Hebrew lexicon, thrust through, all right. Wounded, all right, so we got wounded, and this is why they translate it to wounded and not pierced. He was bruised for our iniquity. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Who bore the iniquity of the entire house of Israel? This says he was beaten so he could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. KJV says he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. Not beaten for this. And what does it say again? He was beaten so that we could be whole and whipped so that we could be healed. Does that sound like he was bruised for our iniquities? Like lying on one side for 390 days? The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to our own way, and Ahchwa has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Ahchwa has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Yet the Lord laid on him the sins of us all. Who bore the sins of the house of Israel? Now lie on your left side and place the sins of Israel on yourself. You are to bear the sins. They bear their sins. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins and Judah's sins. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins. So Isaiah 53, they go in there, they Christianize it, they put the pierced in and crucifixion, and you're not overstanding. We're just talking about a suffering, an extreme, painful suffering, like lying down on one side for 390 days and on the other side for 40 days, bound, having to make food with crap in it, and the fuel being an abomination. Can you imagine the smell trying to eat that? That's all you can eat. That's torture, man. That's crucifixion. That's affliction. That's suffering. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins. And Ahchwa has laid the iniquity, has laid on him. the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, crucified, right? Yet he opened not his mouth. Wait a minute, because Jesus said, "Oh Lord, why have you forsaken me?" But Ezekiel, his tongue was bound to the roof of his mouth. Pause. We're just talking Isaiah 53 in relation to Ezekiel 3. Verse 25, there, son of man, you will be tied with ropes so you cannot go out among the people. I will make your tongue stick to the roof. Stick to the roof of your mouth so you will be speechless. Isaiah 53. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He didn't say, oh, Creator, why have you forsaken me? This is not him. This is not that story. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, right? He was undefiled. And as a sheep before her shears is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? He was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people he was stricken, and he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Ahchwa to bruise him, because he bore the iniquity of Israel 430 days. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Ahchwa shall prosper in his hand. He shall see of the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied by his knowledge. Shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. He shall bear their iniquities. Wow. We're just seeing clearly with a dragonfly 360-degree perspective. All praise our Creator. Wow. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins. You shall bear their iniquity. For he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great. Ezekiel got a portion with the great. And he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors. And he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressor. I will give him the honors of a victorious soldier, because he exposed himself to death. Whoa. See how we got to go back and forth? Because some drop is in one translation and some drops in another translation. Here it's like Christ, because he died for our sins. Did Ezekiel die for our sins? In the KJV, it says because he has poured out his soul unto death. counted amongst the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many. We know he bore the sin of many, right? He has poured out his soul unto death, right? In the New Living Translation, it says, I will give him the honors of a victorious soldier because he exposed himself to death. Well, I'm sure you will if you have to be bound for 430 days. I'm sure you have exposed yourself to death. And he was counted amongst the rebels, and he bore the sins of many and interceded for rebels. He bore the sins of many. He bore the sins of many. I am requiring you to bear Israel's sin. We're not talking about an image of you. We're talking about reality. Who bore the sins for the house of Israel? 430 days being exposed to death. Being pierced? No. Being wounded? Sure. How do you think his body looked after 430 days of being bound on the floor? Tongue stuck to his mouth, speechless. Ahchwa. We'll be back in the Present Down investigation, part 45. Fall back. We're just surfing the wave. These timelines are very important. And we're going to get back on these timelines, man, especially related to the Kariat, Anan ben David, Moshe. 770, Anan wrote the definitive code of his order, Sefer HaMitzvot. Yeah. Moshe Maimonides. Moshe. He completed the commentary on the Mishnah at the age of 33, after which he began his magnus opus, the Code of Jewish Law. He wrote, hold up. He wrote 2 other Jewish laws of lesser scope. The Sefer HaMitzvot, Book of Precepts. This Moshe. We're going to dig on that, man, in Preston chapter 45. And of course, we're just talking about this Moses in the 12th century who wrote the same Sefer HaMitzvot, the same Sefer. He wrote the same Sefer as Anan ben David supposedly wrote in 770 when he wrote the definitive code of his order, the Sefer HaMitzvot, Book of Precepts, Sefer HaMitzvot. One's happening in the 12th century. In the 12th century? Huh? One's happening in the 8th century. Phantoms and duplicates, man. There's a lot going on in the 12th century. You know, I'm leaning on this 12th century business as the real media blackout happening right here, man. We're going to be back in it. And I'm going to leave this link for you. We're going to get on this, a list of exarchs. It gets really interesting when you compare the exarchs from the first dynasty. All the names, all these Hebrew names, man. This is during the Babylonian captivity. But the interesting thing is that here it says that this Babylonian captivity business, right, this exarch business, office of the exarch, which is what the head of the Hebrews, the Babylonian exile. So when is the Babylonian exile happening? We're going to dig on it. But exactly when is this happening? Is it happening in the 700s? I think we got a body bag here because this is the same author of the same book, but now he's being called Moses in the 1200s or 12th century, 1100s. So if the Babylonian captivity is popping off right here, Babylonian exile, and the same figure is popping up in the 12th century, writing the same book, could we say that this Babylonian captivity or this Babylonian exile is really happening? It's really going down in the 12th century? Was the Babylonian exile just happening in the 12th century, 13th century? I mean, you know what I mean? Then come the 1400s and this whole Colombo situation, but we're just talking about the symbol that became the Black Christ. Your suffering, your painful crucifixion, your extreme and painful punishment, affliction, and suffering. I'm talking about your piercing. You were pierced, man. You were pierced, man. You were wounded, man. He was wounded, man. You were afflicted. And we'll get back on these XLRs, and you got the link. We'll get to it, but these names are really popping off of this thing, man. It's a whole timeline of XLRs that we can start really putting, because this is supposed to be during the Babylonian exile. Oh boy, it gets good, man. Y'all dig on it. Let's fall back and get, just a nice little, I got 4 features, man. I'm going to play about, 3 or 4 minutes from each one. Give you, just a nice taste of the water. The first one we're going to start with is my bro, man. He has a brand new channel, man. He's representing right from the turf, man. Drop Nation. My boy, my bro Nick, man, my brother, man. And he has a great Instagram page, man. Go check it out. IDK, I don't know what, Nick Beyond, man. He's really a mastermind, man. I mean, he's a martial artist. He's always, getting, real zany, but always ready, man. Always staying ready, man. Always training up. And I really appreciate him for training up. You know what I mean? And yeah, let's dig on it, man. Let's make sure we thumbs up that joint. And yeah, this is The Art of Breathing, Chapter 3, man. Subscribe, get this page popping, man. Make sure we all know about it. I don't know what Nick be on. This is Drop Nation, man. This is Drop Nation, baby. The Art of Breathing. We've been talking about the Ha, right? The 5th letter of the Hebrew, the Ha, the breath, the framer, the wisdom, mama. Mama with her arms raised, greeting you out the door when the strong power enters your floor plan. You got the gom, you're walking, you go through the door, and you got mama, your breath, your revelation, your and then you got your foundation, you got pops, you got your shaper, you got your vibe. And that goes right into your rest, your zon. So let's research and recon on The Art of Breathing by Danny Penman, PhD. I don't know what Nick be on. Subscribe today, man. Let's get it. Let's fall back on the zon. Man. Let's keep the fire burning. Make sure our fire's still burning. Gotta have the fire burning for the dismount. All right, let's keep the fire burning. Hey, out to the bro. I don't know what Nick be on. Let's get a few minutes.
This is The Art of Breathing by Danny Penman. We're moving into Chapter 3, Mindfulness. The art of breathing lies in paying attention to your breath in a very special way. It's the heart of mindfulness, and as old as meditation itself. You can learn the basics in just a few minutes, but mastering the art of breathing takes somewhat longer. Breathing meditations are very simple, but people often make them difficult and complicated. Firstly, meditation. Meditating in the lotus position is very uncomfortable. You can't meditate if you're not comfortable. Take a deep breath and ask why the chair was invented. Secondly, you don't need any equipment, mantras, incense, fancy bells, apps, or even a quiet room. In fact, all you need is a chair, a body, some air, your mind, and that's it. It's a breathing meditation. Sit on a straight back chair. Place your feet flat on the floor, with your spine 1 inch from the back of the chair. Be comfortable with a relaxed but straight back. Place your hands loosely in your lap. Close your eyes. Focus your mind on your breath as it flows in and out. Feel the sensations the air makes as it flows in through your mouth or nose and into your lungs. Feel the rising and falling of your chest and stomach. Where are the strongest feelings? The nose, mouth, throat, stomach, chest, shoulders. Pay attention and explore the feelings, especially the way they rise and fall. Don't try to alter them in any way or expect anything special to happen.
So make sure you get the drop. Make sure you get the drop, man. Let's get a couple minutes, man, from someone who you should be very, familiar, with in the neighborhood of Drop Nation, man. This is the Templar, man. My fan band, my real one, man. Holding down the ether, man. Every Tuesday, 7:00 Pacific, man. Hit up Templar, man. Make sure you are linked in, subscribe to his channel right away. Hey, hop to the Templar. Man, we just belly flopping this flow, man, with Templar up, Job, the righteous. Let's belly flop right here, man. We just belly flopping, Temp. Let's go.
Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and tender mercy. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, patience of work, patience of job, right? And have seen the end of Ahchwa, that Ahchwa is very pitiful and of tender mercy. Now, there's a couple of different ways, you can understand that and slice and dice it. So let's just keep it simple, stupid, okay? Start off with Genesis. Now, the says here that these are the generations of Noah, right? And Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God. Now here it is. The word we need to focus on here is generation. So let's dig on it. Generation.
It's very important how he's connecting it and continue to flow, man, with the Templar, because we're just talking about, sinless men, man. And there's Noah who says what is perfect, you know what I mean? And you got Job who's blameless. So, I mean, and on we go.
It's going to sound crazy, but
Let go.
We understand that, Noah's the only one in his generation because everybody got wiped out. Right? Because of the flood. Okay, make sure we know what a generation is. 14th century generation. Body of individuals born about the same period. Okay? For the two bodies of individuals we're talking about is what? Job, who was a man in the land of Uz, right? The precept of Genesis, it starts off that these are the generations of Noah, right? But the body of it, which is a body of individuals born about the same period, right? Now, historically, 30 years, right? But in other uses, as few as 17, okay? All right. On the notion of descendants at the same stage in the line of descent. Descendants at the same stage in the line of descent. Stop. Let's take it back. Make sure I'm not crazy. Right? Okay, let's take it from the top. Job was in the man from the land of Uz. Right? These are the generations of Noah. Okay? These are the descendants at the same stage in the line of descent. Got it. We're talking about a race, right? People, a species, right? Right. From the past participle stem of generaire, bring forth, beget, produce, right? Race. From genus, there's our word again. Race, time, from the pyru gene, and we dug on gene before, right? To give birth, beget, right? The derivatives referring to the procreation and familial and tribal groups. The procreation, right? Got it. See how that works? All right, so check this out. Because remember, this is where you get your J-on. J-on is a what? It's an element of your word dragon. Dragon. Genius in the Torah learning. It's also the root word for Genesis. Genius. Generation.
And it's also the John. Hey, out to the 10th. Y'all better get in the classroom, man, and just make sure you got your rain boots for all the dropping, man. Love to your 10th, man. Let's go. Let's get to it. Couple more, man, for the dismount, man. I've been meaning to, go ahead and share some ether with my bros, man. And this bro right here, man, needs no introduction, man. This is natural by law. Y'all go ahead and get cozy for what's about to come, man. For, what Ahchwa's been putting together with this brother, myself, with the tribe, man. I mean, so love to the bro Nat, man. It's a Khalifa thing, you dig? Natural by law, man. Are we free from the dark? Part 1. Let's get a few of this, man. Hey, to the real one right here, man. The bro, and for real, right here, man. The fluid, the frequency, the flow, natural. Let's go.
Peace. Peace to the tribes. Peace to the tribe. Shouts out to you. It's been a good little minute since I've jumped on this YouTube thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out here catching some sun. Just thought I'd get some sun. Get this melanin jumping, And also, I just thought I'll come connect with the tribe one time. And just see how the vibration is. Maybe even set the vibration myself. And get acquainted with the tribe. Nonetheless, man, I hope y'all out here staying hijack free. We just had the big old boom. I'm pretty sure, everyone had a little version of their own little fireworks show. I didn't really get involved too much. It's not really my memo to go ahead and do stuff like that. But nonetheless, we still do what we got to do. But yeah, family. To those who are out here paying attention, to those who are in tune with the frequencies, into the frequency. Pretty sure you can feel how everything's jumping up. You know, if you're on the up and up and you're paying attention to the details of everything, you know, you can really see in waveform and everything, just change in how fast things are picking up. For instance, like, I just felt like, I don't know, within the last couple of months, like, we just been burning through days. Like, so-called 24 hours don't really feel or mean much, you know? You get the day started and, you know, before you know it, it's just gone. Like wow, like where this thing go? And it's just crazy because I made mention, I was doing the last show to the California series we got on 432thedrop.com. To everyone that's not tuned in, go ahead and tune up and make sure you get that drop over at the bro site. But yeah, I was making mention that with this I mean, as we get into 4th and 5th dimension, right, as we climb higher up, this frequency is starting to vibrate higher and higher and higher. And you know, I was learning that the earth has a heartbeat, right? And I've always heard of the earth having a heartbeat, but this heartbeat was only beating, you can say, like, at a very low rate, so many beats per second, or however the measurements would be, BPMs, right? That's basically how we monitor everything. It was beating at a rate of, I mean, don't quote me on this, right? But give or take like 4.0. And as of 2019 going into 2020, the heartbeat is starting to raise up to about 13. All right. Now, that jump is also within inside of us. All right. That same jump is happening within us. And I'm learning it's the keys to these things we refer to as melanin, right? We refer to these things as melanin. And it's amazing to understand that everything that we really want, everything that we really need is already encoded genetically within us.
Wow.
You know, but they have us so distracted, so caught up in their little show, right, in the Matrix, that they went ahead and provided for us, that we don't take the time to really understand what these things are, you know. And it's a trip, because when we're talking about upgrading, raising this frequency, the more consciously we begin to awake, the more we begin to come together as a so-called conscious community, we begin to raise the natural frequency that we have ourselves, that then activates the universe as well.
You see what I'm saying, man? You see what I'm saying, man? It's all happening within. Love to the bro, the natural by law. Go subscribe right away to the bro, man, and also follow his Instagram feed, man. It's a beautiful thing. Straight pure water, man, and you see it's coming right off the dome, man. The melanin's glistening, bro. So let's get it, man. It's a Cali thing, man, and we're gonna do our final dismount here, man. But you know, of course, we always continue, bro. And we're always in the flow. But I gotta give it up to Karen, man. Yo, you want to talk consistency, man? You want to talk vision, man? You want to talk a blueprint, bro? I mean, this bro right here is setting all standards and resetting them, man, for great presentations and great recon. Let's belly fly with the one that needs, again, no introduction. Subscribe if you haven't already, man, to the great bro and the great flow. Kara, man, yo, aha, ooh, this is part 2 of his latest installment, American Indian True Historic Depictions and Never Before Seen Photographs and Images. Let's get it, Kara, man, yo, take the wheel.
Hispaniola and how they were losing the population, that local population. They had to get Negroes, right? They tell you they came from Africa, right? They switched the narrative. But right here, clearly letting you know that they stole the aboriginal, this innocent, timid, Eden-like people, gentle, loving, peaceful people, and made them go slave in the mines on the plantations of Hispaniola. That's Dominican Republic and Haiti today. In about 50 years, these people became extinct, it says. All right, so Dr. Hijack, you're still there. All right, they couldn't get rid of all of you. All right, remember, these are dark-skinned people. Dark-skinned people.
Black crap.
All right, and these were not Africans.
Oh, hold up, man.
I was introduced to bio oil by my mother-in-law as soon as she found out I was pregnant, and
Sorry, y'all. Sometimes it's just hijack city. But it's all right, man. We're right back. Let's go.
So now we're in this book, Personal Narrative of Travels to the Equinoctial Regions of America during the years 1799-1804 by Alexander von Humboldt and Aimé von Plant. All right, so Alexander von Humboldt, very scholarly person, known in history. Various historical societies basically invited him. He did a lot of travels in the Americas in the 1700s. All right. So this particular book was published in 1853. All right. So this was written originally in French by Alexander von Humboldt. All right. So we're about in page 239, 240. So they're talking about the populations when Spaniards came to these islands. And it says, to Columbus and Velasquez, the island of Cuba must have appeared well peopled. All right. And it has this little footnote or asterisk right here. I'm going to go to that right now. All right. On the footnote, I zoomed in a little bit more. It says Columbus relates that the island of Haiti was sometimes attacked by a race of black men. Black men. Gente negra, all right? Who lived more to the south or southwest. He hoped to visit them in his third voyage because those black men possessed a metal of which the admiral had procured some pieces in his second voyage. All right, so that is basically recorded that Columbus did say that when he was in Haiti. All right, they told him, the Indians there was people coming up. These were darker skinned people. They were coming from the south, which is South America, or southwest, going towards like Panama to Central America, whatever. So these pieces were sent to Spain and found to be composed of 63 point gold and 0.14 silver, 0.19 copper. In fact, Balboa discovered this black tribe in the Isthmus of Darien. All right, so like I was just saying, he's saying that we're gonna, Balboa was in the, the region we just read about earlier in Panama. All right, and it says that they were actually coming from there. That's what Balboa discovered, according to Gomara. All right, it says that conquistador, says Gomara, entered the province of Cuareca. He found no gold, but some blacks. Gosh, the hijack, who were slaves of the lord of the place. He asked this lord whence he had received them, who replied that men of that color lived near the place. So He's saying that these were slaves of another cacique, these darker skinned blacks. And he asked him, where'd you get them from? And the cacique told him, well, these are people that live around here. They live near the place, with whom they were constantly at war.
More on more.
So these are people they had history with. These weren't African slaves. These Negroes, adds Gomara, exactly resembled those of Guinea. And no other have since been seen in America. Well, according to Gomara, in the 1500s. En las Indias, yo visto que no se han visto negros después. The passage is very remarkable. Hypotheses were formed in the 16th century, as now in Petrus Martyr, or Peter Martyr, imagined that these men seen by Balboa, the Quarecas, were Ethiopian blacks, who as pirates infested the seas and had been shipwrecked on the coast of America. But the Negroes of Sudan are not pirates. Alright, and it is easier to conceive that Eskimos in their boats of skin may have gone to Europe than Africans to Darien. Alright, it's easier to even imagine. It would be more logical that an Eskimo can go all the way to Europe than Africans to Darien, alright? Those learned speculators who believe in a mixture of Polynesians with the Americans.
Ahab to the real ones. Ahab to the hum team. Peace and power. Ahab to Caramayo. I love y'all, man. Keep having a Yapa Shabbat. Keep surfing the wave. Know that we are all here, man. Shabbat up. Brick by brick, we rebuild our house. Tribe up.